Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Organic and Natural Digital Trade Week, the first of its kind in the region, where buyers and suppliers connect online. We are now on our 8th trade week, and the previous weeks have been phenomenally successful, engaging, and educational. Each trade week is purposed towards connecting buyers and suppliers online during this crucial time when most businesses are conducted remotely. A very warm welcome to all our viewers and speakers from across the world. This week, the focus is on free from and vegan. In this session, we will address recent trends, the overall growth in the Middle East, and the way forward for this category. Today, we've gathered here to find new business opportunities from some of our eminent panelists, 3 major industry players from the region, and 2 suppliers from across the world, who you can meet personally at the Organic and Natural Products Expo in Dubai this December. Now, let me introduce you to our panelists. First, we have Mithun Sarkar, Simply Health Foods founder, Dubai-based clinical dietitian with over 19 years of professional experience in health foods. Mithun is a renowned Dubai-based clinical dietitian with over 19 years of professional experience. As the founder of Simply Health Foods, a customized diet meal delivery service, she supports her UAE-based clients with weight management and nutritional intervention to heal. Mithun is the brand ambassador of Costa Coffee's healthy food range, Costa For You, launched in January 2020, all across 150 outlets in UAE. She's regularly featured in Gulf News, Khalij Times, Friday Magazine, Weekend Magazine, Better Health Segment by Gulf News, Masala Magazine, Yoga Life, and many more television shows. Mithun has also notably been featured in a segment about female achievers by Achievers Kitchen. She has also been featured as a young Indian visionary by IME Publications. Welcome, Mithun.
Hello. Hi. So
Hi.
am I the first speaker or I have somebody before me?
I will just be introducing all the speakers now, and then it'll be Monique.
Great to see all of you here. Great to see all of you here.
Next, we have Davina Shah, the founder and managing director of The Goods Collective & Co., GCC's premier health and organic food supplier and distributor. The Goods Collective & Co. is a health food distribution company with the aim of revolutionizing the availability of healthy foods in the Middle East by sourcing and representing unique, innovative, healthy, and yet tasty foods targeting the current fast-paced lives of people. Davina, a master's in pharmacy, believes the time to invest in health is now. The Goods Collective & Co. exclusively represents a number of brands and also works with local brands to help grow organic and health food ecosystem. They work with top UAE partners and supply directly to retail stores, health food stores, office pantries, restaurants, hotels, and cafes. Welcome, Davina.
Thank you.
Next, we have Monique Naval, Senior Analyst at Euromonitor International, the world's leading independent provider of strategic market research. Monique is a senior analyst with Euromonitor International in the UAE. In her current role, she is part of the global food and nutrition team that provides strategic recommendations to the world's largest FMCG companies, shaping the food industry. She leads the Middle East and North Africa research and specializes in packaged food, consumer food service, pet food, and health and wellness. One of her primary objectives is to actively engage with major industry players to trade press alongside creating data sets, authoring annual reports, and giving keynote presentations at international conferences. Welcome, Monique.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you.
Now we have our exhibitor, Daniel Wanderley, Global Sales Director of Future Farm. Future Farm is a plant-based meat startup. Future Farm was launched in Brazil and after 15 months reached more than 10 countries. With a combination of competitive prices, powerful branding, and excellent taste, Future Farm is heading for a global leading position in the plant-based meat category. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
And finally, we have Nivedita Pandit, founder of Chili Date. Chili Date is a homegrown healthy food brand retailing out from over 100 stores in UAE. They have a variety of products: date spreads, seed crackers, zero cafe, date seed coffee alternative, first and only producers in UAE, and very recently launched the B2C module of fresh bakes and chili date naughties for the healthy naughty cravings. Chili Date is a certified HACCP gluten-free facility producing only vegan and nut-free recipes, preservative-free, and using farm-fresh ingredients sourced from the local farms of UAE. Nivedita started this organization with the principle to produce healthy food to anyone who is hungry, with health issues or allergies or dieting, or just looking for a better lifestyle. I welcome you, Nivedita, to today's session.
Thank you. Thanks.
I would now like to invite Monique to open the session with research from Euromonitor. Monique, the floor is all yours.
Hi, everyone. So I'll be sharing with you how is coronavirus changing plant-based diets. And we are looking specifically at the Middle East and Africa. So just a very brief introduction. So I'm with Euromonitor International. Euromonitor International is the world's leading independent provider of strategic market research. We now have 15 office locations. I'm based in Dubai, and we are researching in-depth countries for 100 countries, and we're also researching the other 210 countries and territories. And yeah, so let's get straight into the presentation. So we've already known that with the COVID-19, there has been an increase in online shopping and reduce in in-store shopping. But we've asked our industry leaders within the food industry, within the Middle East, about the change in shopping and spending behavior as a result of COVID-19. If they think this would be something that would be a permanent change, a midterm change, or a short change. And almost everyone agree that increased shopping would be something that would be a permanent or at least a midterm change, and there would be a reduction in in-store shopping. So that's something that people or manufacturers or distributors, retailers should consider. And what does COVID-19 mean for consumers? First, we have conscious consumption. So consumers with the COVID-19, it accelerated the trend on consumers being more conscious on what they're eating, especially with the nutrients, with the price, and as well as well-being. So we already had this trend before, and this pandemic accelerated this one. And people are also looking at the nutrients of the food that they're eating, as well as the health concerns, as well as if it has immunity boosting ingredients, as well as for their something that would be good for their well-being. Second is that there are more occasions now at home. So with all of the lockdowns and even with the easing of the restrictions, like globally, we've seen now people going out more, spending time outside. There's still somewhat like a fear factor about going out, about eating out, and all of these food service occasions have now shifted to home. And in the US, Nestle recently launched a new plant-based protein brand. It's called Life Cuisine to feed the modern lifestyles. And third, we have mentally rebalancing. And due to isolation and fear of the unknown, there has been a lot of mental health issues that people are experiencing and are trying to cope with. And so the governments also acknowledge this fact. So we've seen many initiatives across the globe. And here in UAE, we have the National Program for Happiness and Well-being has launched a national campaign for mental support for all UAE residents to help them overcome the psychological impact resulting from the spread of COVID-19. And in line with this, in line with food, so people are also looking for food that are uplifting or that are giving them that are giving them outcome-based goods and health-giving products. And lastly, we have proudly local. And with all of the restrictions, all of the lockdowns, all of these things that happened due to the pandemic. So governments across the the world are now looking at localization, are looking at producing more for in their own farms, and then making sure that the population or the people within the country are well sustained, are have their own food, have access to local production. And this has been discussed more thoroughly in the previous sessions, that UAE and Saudi Arabia have been very active about it and have ensured that that there's food security, and that they are increasing the local production. They are supporting this kind of initiative. And so now, what is the COVID-19 effect on plant-based diets? So before I go into that, I'll just give a background on our framework. So we at Pure Monitor International identified the food and nutrition strategic themes and hot topics for 2020. And these are the lens through which we see the topics or the themes that would be the most talked about in the next 5 years or so. And for the purposes of this presentation, we'll be looking more closely into dairy alternatives and meat analogs. So you can see there the box here. And if we just go back, or if we just give an overview on the reasons for interest in plant-based food. So first of all, we have health ambitions. Plant-based food is usually associated with being healthy, with something that's good for your body, good for your mind, good for your health. And then second, and this is I'll go later into the main reasons for the Middle East and Africa consumers. And then we have climate concerns. So we've known that, and we've read that raising animals as food would entail a lot of food, would entail a lot of food to be fed for the animals, would entail a lot of water, would entail a lot of carbon footprint. And so that's the proposition, or that's what the proponents are saying about plant-based food. So if we eat plant-based food, then we would radically reduce all of this water and carbon footprint usage. Third is price. So something that I just would like to clarify on this is that when we talk about lower prices for plant-based food, I'm referring to whole food, like for instance, the fresh vegetables or fresh fruits that we have, which are usually have lower unit prices compared to animal-based products such as meat or dairy. So just to put context in it, because if you're talking about the dairy alternatives or milk alternatives and meat analogs, so far it's much higher. The prices are much higher compared to the animal products or dairy products that we have. And lastly, we have animal welfare. Another reason that people go into plant-based foods, because they care about the animals. They think that all animal lives are equal, and that we should not slaughter animals for human consumption. And talking about the health and wellness span. So again, we had a survey with people from the food industry globally, and we're seeing that 37% expect a permanent change towards buying more health and wellness products, and 24% expect a permanent change toward buying more products to improve life at home, and 73% expect overall consumer spending reduction to persist beyond second quarter of 2020. So we can see that these trends, or this notions or perceptions that we've seen during the lockdown or during the pandemic is actually something that we would be seeing permanently, or something that a lot of a lot of these trends, or a lot of these things that are happening right now would persist for a longer period of time, not just during the pandemic, or once we have the vaccine, then all of this would suddenly change or go back to what we would call as the old normal, so to speak. Yeah. And then, okay, so now let's go to dairy alternatives. So we've asked our Middle East and Africa consumers, and the key things that the reasons for them to follow a dairy-free diet are, first, digestive health. It's good for their digestive health, and it's for weight loss or management, with 39% of respondents saying that these are the reasons. And if you go in the middle, somewhere in the middle, we have the environmental concerns as well as animal rights. So these are in terms of the priority, or in terms of reasons, this go like in the middle. And lastly, we have not so much the reason or priority is to save money, or something that has to do with their religion or faith. So again, I've mentioned about saving money, because if we look at milk alternatives, if we look at meat analogs, they're much more expensive compared to their meat and dairy counterparts, which again we would go into later. So we can see here that across the region, like if for instance one company would like to promote their plant-based food, so it's something that they need to emphasize, that this is something healthy, that this is something that's good for their general well-being. And if we put the Middle East and Africa into perspective, so we are looking at the retail value sales in USD of the free from dairy by region. So if we can see that Middle East and Africa, it's still very much small in the region. But if we look at, so that's the blue box part there, if that's the value, and then if you look at the orange line, we can see the year-on-year growth, and we've seen that there's a huge growth since 2014 until 2019, and it's still growing, especially in 2018, when there were many new products that came to the market. And if you look at so the previous slide, we're looking at retail, and now if you look at food service, we have here on the blue bars the volume, which is in million liters, as well as the orange bars in year-on-year growth. And as we all know, we've had some lockdowns wherein the consumer food service um, really took a big hit. So in 2020, we are forecasting that the food service will decline by 10% compared to 2019 in terms of food service volume growth. And if we compare that to retail, which is a 3% growth for the whole of Middle East and Africa. And so there's a need to refocus for the go-to-market strategies that relied on food service are suffering. So in other words, there is like during this time, there is a huge potential for retail, and to get into the plant-based, to introduce more plant-based food or dairy alternatives to their portfolio, if it's not yet there. And if we also look at the per capita spend, meaning how much is one person spending per population, we can see that it's the smallest. So if we look at one person spending for dairy alternatives, we're spending the least, and this also includes some of the parts of Africa which basically don't most of them, like a lot of a huge part of the population cannot afford this milk alternatives. And but we see that so far, like if we have the blue line, the blue if we look at the graph above, we can see the blue bar or the blue box. It represents soy drinks, and the orange one are um, uh, sorry, it's the other way around. It's the orange is for soy, and then the blue is milk, is other milk alternatives. So we can see that non-soy variants will continue to drive growth. So because when like a few years ago we could only see soy products in the market, especially here in UAE, but now we've seen different other products such as oat milk, and we can see that these types of other milk alternatives are the ones that are driving growth for the dairy alternatives in the region. And so blends offer room for innovation in plant-based. So we can see, as mentioned, like before, we only had the soy milk, and now we have like a huge range of other milk alternatives. And it's also the same with soy-based meat, the meat alternatives, which I will, sorry, meat analogs, which I will go into later on. But you can also see that there's also a huge range of the ingredients now. And we have an example here from Vsoy. So to give something more, or to give something innovative to the consumer, so they have something called multigrain, which includes soybeans, brown rice, black sesame, malt extract, as well as barley. And now let's go to meat analogs. So the story that we have is more or less the same with the dairy alternatives. It's still very much small in the region, and it's growing at a very fast rate. And what drives the meat analogs in the region for now are the vegetable patties, or the ones that are made from vegetables but are not really exactly mimicking meat. But we have all of this Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat burgers that are already in the country, and it's also driving the growth for this category. And also we have the same scenario here that we've seen also with dairy alternatives. So for food service volume, we also saw like a huge drop for meat analogs with negative 3%. We're expecting it to decline by 3%. But in terms of retail volume, it's growing by 4%. And so, for example, in the US, there has been like a rush for food service reliant companies like Impossible Foods to go into retail, because previously they were just into they were available in retail, but they were stronger in food service. And just to give a case study, an example for a UAE brand, it's called the Healthy Farm. It sources half of its ingredients from the UAE, including kale and spinach, which came from its organic farm, which I've mentioned earlier. We were looking at localization, or looking at local products and incorporating them to our products. And we are also looking at unique or different kinds of ingredients that would not be available in other, or if it's available, maybe just a very limited products. It would contain, for instance, salicornia, which is a plant that replaces salt and delivers, along with quinoa and kale, a healthy alternative with a high nutritional profile. Yeah, so some key takeaways. So here are the opportunities that we have in plant-based alternatives. Is first, clean label, simple ingredient lists, and use of local ingredients, as we've mentioned. Because now, if we compare the meat analogs, which have a huge or a long list of ingredients, if we compare that to a burger patty, for instance, with just one ingredient, then it's something that meat analogs are trying to look into, are trying to reduce the ingredients list that they have to make it more, to make it clean, or to make it more relatable to the consumer, so the consumers can understand exactly what they are eating. Second, we have natural nutrition. So which is also related to clean label. So whatever is recognizable to the consumers would be more attractive to them. So for instance, we have pea, chickpeas, and fava beans, something that's are common names to the consumers. And plant-based food, companies are also looking at processing techniques that retain nutritional content, like hydro release. And meat analogs also aim to move away from protein isolates to less processed ingredients, which again, so in overall, they're looking at attracting consumers based on having natural food within their portfolio. We have functional plant-based. So with the COVID pandemic, and then with people wanting to ensure that they're eating healthy food. So another thing that the producers or manufacturers could look at is adding probiotics, or highlighting these ingredients if it's already present in their products. Brain health ingredients such as omega, and then national health labeling on packages. And then we have cocooning. We have, as I've mentioned earlier, one example from Nestle is to ensure that the products are also fit for retail consumption, for home consumption. So it's not just for food service anymore, but something maybe perhaps including some home recipes that they can obviously do at home, instead of it being food service, instead of it being an eating out experience. So it's like bringing the food service experience at home. And we have closing the price gap. And free from dairy pricing, it's increasingly becoming competitive. So we've seen different ingredients coming in, which are cheaper to produce. Let's say rice, if we compare that to almonds or other plants that would require more resources to grow, and oats, which are relatively easier to grow compared to the other examples. And then meat analogs also feel the downward price pressure, and it's so as more players come into the market, and prices are getting more competitive, and especially in this region, like a lot of people are very price conscious, so that's something that needs or that can be looked into. And then we have direct to consumer. So in other countries, like for instance, there are instances when all of these milk alternatives that were supplying only before to food service outlets were also supplying to retail shops or to online shops to cater to directly to the consumers. And then lastly, we have shifting from food service to retail, which we've already talked about. So it's bringing the food service experience for the same products that are being used in food service outlets are also becoming more readily available with the retail sector for the consumers to enjoy it. Yeah. And that ends the presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learn from it. If you have any other questions, or if you have other comments or queries, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is monique.naval@yourmonitor.com, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Monique Naval. Thank you.
And Kai, you're on mute.
Apologies. I said that was so interesting and insightful, Monique. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And now I invite Mithun to give her keynote from a buyer and nutritionist perspective.
Okay, you'll have to help me once again. I have clicked the share screen button and then I click on the presentation, right? You said?
Yes.
And share.
Yes, perfect.
Is it fine? Is it fine? And then we have to go to the full screen, which is this. Right. I think my computer is a bit slow. Is my internet a bit slow, or what is the reason? I don't know, but there's a lot of delay that I can see. But anyways, my name is Mithun Desarkar. Thank you for inviting me today, Menika. I very strongly believe in this phrase that you see here on my screen. The foods you eat can either be the most powerful form of medicine, or it can be a slow form of poison. Actually, let me tell you a little bit about my history. When I was growing up, my father wanted me to become a doctor, but this was back in 1998. Nutrition was not even popular at that time. And I wanted to get into preventive health. So somewhere I won my way out, and I learned that if it's a chronic disease, it has to be a holistic approach, a lifestyle changing approach. And you need to get into the root cause and not just manage the symptoms with medications. So I practice out of, 1 second, my slides are again. Menika, do you want to take care of the slides, or because see,
You can just press the arrow. It's not coming.
Yeah, it's here now.
Yeah, it's here now.
It's here now. I practice out of Northwest Clinic and 9 Medical. So I am basically licensed by DHA as well as DHCC. My method of working is I treat food as your medicine. Your food is the way of treatment. I look into removing the offending foods and starting with foods that are healing you, because your foods have the power to heal you from inside out. Our body is actually a very interesting healing machine. You give the plant nutrition, plant-based nutrients, and you will see how your body heals on its own. And that is the approach I follow. Right from your brain to your heart to your gut to your immunity, everything can be stimulated at a cellular level just with the right nutrients. So what do we specialize in? We specialize in weight loss. There is polycystic ovarian syndrome that most women are suffering from, insulin resistance, diabetes type 2, type 1, high cholesterol, triglycerides, uric acid, thyroid conditions. Nowadays, food intolerances have been on the rise, and gut health is getting a lot of importance in every clinical study, because your gut is your second brain, and keeping your gut clean and keeping your gut in the best of health is as important as your heart health. Let me tell you a little bit about my company. What is Simply Healthy? So I'm the founder of Simply Healthy Foods. Simply Healthy is a diet meal delivery service. So this was a challenge which I faced long ago when I started my company. This was way back in 2005. I used to realize that my clients used to tell me that we understand that you're saying that I'm supposed to have these many grams of carbohydrates. These are the kind of grains I must be having. These are the number of the macros, and this is the distribution you're talking about. But we don't have access. We don't know how to cook this. So that's when the idea came into fruition, and I started Simply Healthy, which is a customized meal plan delivery service where all your medical needs are taken care of, your health needs are taken care of, and you are treated with the right nutrition. Okay. Well, if you ask me if we are completely vegan, no, we are not. We are using animal products, but it's a process. I believe veganism is a journey. It's an attitude, it's an ideology. I don't want to be that radical. I'm not converting anyone, but there is a constant education, and there is a process where we are educating and creating awareness that if you are a hardcore carnivore, I'm not asking you to convert at this point of time, but 70% of your diet has to consist of eating plant-based. You have to start incorporating more plant-based foods to actually benefit. The health benefits are innumerable. Number of studies and clinical evidence, they all show the importance of eating plant-based foods, which in turn I'm talking about being vegan. Okay, my slides are really slow. Not able to change them. You want to take over, Menaka? I think that will be good. If you can help
Yeah.
me change the slides, and then I
You can
can
just end your slide.
stop. Yes, escape, because somehow the slides are not moving and we're wasting
Don't
time.
worry about it. So you can stop sharing the screen.
I'm trying it. It's not happening. So somewhere.
Just press the escape button.
No luck. Okay. Stop, stop, stop. So sorry about this, but it's all
No
active.
problem. Yeah.
Right? Are you able to share the screen now?
Yeah. I'll just share.
Or is it
I'll
okay?
share my screen now.
All right. So I'll close my screen.
Can you see my screen now?
We have started, so we're now on screen number
4.
We're on 4. We can go to 5 actually. Right. So like I was saying, it's not necessarily only vegan foods. It's a multicultural cuisine and it's a mixed blend. And there's a conscious effort to inform people and create that awareness that at least 70% of your diet should consist of eating more plant-based foods. And slowly you kind of transit or have a nice transition into completely becoming vegan. Yeah, next slide, please. Right. So a little bit about me. My company and me have been, um, we are a part of the Super 100 Women Achievers by Grey Matters, 70 Indian Visionaries. Slide, please. And I have been constantly been writing features and columns for various newspapers and magazines, giving my expert opinion about nutrition and health-related conditions. If you can just move the slides, you can actually move fast. It's all right. Yeah. And
Sorry about this.
there's a lot of lag, unfortunately. And I have my Simply Healthy tips that is going on the radio for the last 3-4 years now. And the tips are constantly being played where we're constantly trying to reinforce the importance of eating more plant-based foods, the importance of eating more natural foods and try to avoid processed food. That is the aim. Newspapers and everywhere, that has been my main focus of trying to incorporate nutrition as a part of your daily lifestyle, and being 80% of your lifestyle can matter if your nutrition is right. So I always say that 80% is nutrition, or I would say 70% is nutrition, 20% is fitness, exercise, and 10% is your stress levels, your sleep, your emotional health, and everything else. Yeah, next slide, please. And these are some television shows where again we are recreating healthier recipes, corporate wellness programs, and again incorporating good nutrition as a part of your lifestyle, some transformations that you can see. And not only just the weight, but the impact it can have on your overall health and how their medical conditions have been reversed in so many women and men both. Yeah, next slide, please. So, okay, this is something that you should know. So Costa was doing a big, huge market research, and they found out that there is a huge global trend that's happening all over the world, and that is towards veganism. And they wanted to start including healthy meals into their cafes all over UAE, at least to just begin with UAE. And we started this new line called as Costa for You. So 80% of the meals that were designed were all vegan. In fact, the vegan burrito wrap is one of the most highest selling wrap at this point of time in their store. In spite of the COVID situation, the vegan burrito is the one that really sells a lot. So it was not completely vegan that was planned, but a lot of meals that were planned were vegan. So this is the main branch of Umsuken, which is a drive-through, but all the 150 outlets everywhere they keep all the Costa for you labels, and this was a complete research after doing a lot of research. We can actually skip the video, it's fine. We can skip the video. All right, so now we come to the most important part of the topic, which is today's topic. Let's understand what is free from. So free from foods is something that not everybody understands what it is. Maybe we, being in the industry, know what it is, but a layman would has to understand. Free from foods is actually foods that do not have certain additives, unnatural preservatives. Basically, a certain segment of the people, they have a preference towards food products that do not have any unnatural preservatives or additives or that are free of allergens. And this demand has grown immensely over the last decade. And this we are talking about vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, palm oil-free, GMO-free, lactose-free, egg-free. There are so many options that is there in the market that you can see because there's a growing demand. But did you know that as of 2020, the top global nutrition trend is being vegan and sustainable and environmental friendly nutrition? All right. Why vegan? Why are we looking at veganism as such? Because of the rise in the consciousness of the consumer, especially during this pandemic. We all have to understand that the coronavirus was a zoonotic virus. Okay, so the coronavirus is zoonotic, and so was the bird flu, so was the swine flu, and these are viruses that are all coming out from the wet markets. And why not vegan? The more plants you eat, the more antioxidants, the more phytochemicals, the more phytonutrients, and these are all going to heal your body. In fact, so many people are also excluding use of not only just animal products from their food, but also in their clothing, in their entertainment. They're obtaining all, and they're also using cosmetics that are free of products that have been tested on animals. All right. So being vegan is going to nourish your body, and if it is procured from the right sources, like organic, you're actually going to benefit. As I mean, you will see the changes happening in your body as soon as you can. Within a month's time, within 2 months' time, you see the healing happening within your body. All right. So veganism, I feel, is a great way to not only save the planet, but also the animals and also to improve your overall life. There's a lot of shifts nowadays happening in the market, and the industry is now facing enormous challenge. How do you create the free from products? Because despite the desire for more natural foods, the end consumer doesn't want to sacrifice taste and texture. So hopefully these we are a nation where we love our meat. So even though they're conscious about the consumption of meat, they want that same texture. Your consumer wants to have the same karak chai, which does not spoil the taste of the tea. Wants to have the same latte, but the texture and taste is what they are after, and the consumers have this huge challenge, and they are probably doing a lot, and they are succeeding because people are ready to make that change. They are happy to make that switch. And if you ask me if veganism is here to stay, these trends are here to stay, I think yes, because I've been working in the sector of clinical nutrition for the last 20 years, and one thing I've observed is the increased demand for vegan high quality alternatives. There's also a rapid demand in the food intolerance tests that are happening. I think every day I'm doing at least one test to find out some intolerance of sorts. So basically, you become intolerant to certain foods. The proteins in some food get into your bloodstream that produce and that acts like a foreign body, and your body produces these antibodies to fight it. So that causes a lot of inflammation in the body. So we are able to pinpoint what is that trigger food that causes all these intolerances. And this being on the rise, again, we notice most of the people are intolerant to dairy, to wheat, to shellfish, to eggs, to peanuts. And there are a lot of other things that which you would have not even thought of. You might be intolerant to rice, you might be intolerant to ginger, you might be intolerant to oranges and peas. So the list is quite exhaustive sometimes. And once you start eliminating those foods, you see such a big change in how your gut health improves, how your overall health improves. The next slide, please. Yeah. So opportunities are immense. Leading retailers have a role to play in the raising consumer awareness of organic food and the free-farm foods, vegan foods, and in continuing to increase the shelf space available for these products. This will encourage local food and drink producers to develop new organic vegan lines, as well as open more doors for more important organic brands, for more developed organic markets to begin business in the Middle East. So I think the millennials out here are quite adaptive. I think the older generation, whatever you call them, the boomers or the Generation Z, I'm not too sure, but these are the people who are still little not open-minded about trying the meat alternatives, but they are opening up. Especially the youngsters are opening up to the fact that veganism is not only just good for the health, but it's also trendy. Their favorite stars are all turning vegan. It's getting more and more popular. It's become a fashion statement for the youngsters. So, which is good in the quest to get healthier, in the quest to save the planet, in the quest to prevent cruelty towards animals. I think we're on the right path, and this trend is here to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithun. I'll also share your videos, the really short videos.
We can't see, I think. I mean, I can't see. I don't know about the rest of the people.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mithun. That clearly shows a rise in demand from vegan to free from, and it really gives us good insights into the whole nutritional aspect of, and all age groups as well. I now invite Davina to introduce her company.
Okay, let me share my screen as well. Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Davina. I'm the founder of a company called The Goods Collective & Co. In a nutshell, we're health, food and drink distributors. So we have our offices based in Dubai in the UAE, where our main mission when we started the company was to source and supply healthy food and drink options into the retail and food service market. What we do is we basically partner with foreign suppliers all over the world, and we represent their products and their brands in the market. So what makes us different and what makes us sort of stand out to other companies and other people that are doing similar in the market is that we focus on health. So products that we source aren't super healthy, but they all have to fall into the great umbrella, the grand umbrella of health. We have our own warehouse that is HACCP and ISO certified. We have our own logistics and supply chain team that supply directly into around 500 retail and food service outlets with our current product portfolio of around 250 items. We've also won a couple of awards and been recognized for the products that we represent and sell into the market, especially at the Gulf Food exhibition shows in 2016 and 2018. So what makes us different is that we try and add a fresh approach and add a young different approach to the way we supply products into the market and the way that we represent and that we build brands. So as you can see from the pictures, some of the things that we do is we participate with local events and try and interact directly with some of our customers so that they can firsthand understand more about the product, talk to us directly with regards to any questions they have about the product. And this really sort of creates a good sense of community spirit between us, our products, and in general, the whole health and fitness community in the UAE. We also are very proud, and sort of one of our biggest strengths is our after-sales support and our customer service that we offer to all of our customers that we supply to. We don't just supply product and tell the customer, okay, it's up to you to sort of manage the product on shelf. We really try and go the extra mile with, arranging the product well on shelf, giving them any additional support, and supporting them with just generally trying to increase their sale of the product, and in the end, overall boosting everyone's revenue. So this is something also that we do, is we help to merchandise the product from the shelf. The UAE is known and it's notorious for a lot of suppliers sort of fighting for space. We try and ensure that our products are always on shelf. In terms of who we serve, who is our target audience, apart from obviously the businesses and the customers, the businesses that we supply to, the target population that we serve are basically people that, as I said, our products are not super healthy, but they fall into this umbrella of health. So that's anyone that is trying to be a little bit healthy, or people that are just generally interested in health, and obviously the people that are health conscious. So the products that we source and we supply, as you can see from the circles here, they fall into either all or at least tick one of the categories, whether it's low calorie, whether it's organic, whether it's gluten free. So we try and offer, people a variety of products. In terms of some of the products that we source and some of the brands that we represent for the local market. So as I said, most of our products we actually source from the UK and Europe. And we have some products, so 50% of our portfolio is actually exclusive, 50% is not exclusive. For the exclusive brands, we actually have the rights to distribute the products in the Middle East. So these are some of the logos of the brands that we have that are exclusive with us. And, the products can be in different categories, whether it's bars, whether it's chips, popcorns. As Monique mentioned, plant-based milk is something that's huge and really trending for us. So this is sort of the products that we work with. And some of our partners, so the UAE is a fairly small market, is a very small population. And we're able to cover the retail and the food service and the other sort of sales channels quite easily, quite nicely. So we supply into hypermarkets, supermarkets, health organic stores, restaurants and cafes, online shops most recently that have really picked up, and as well as applications that have been set up specifically dedicated to supply healthy foods and healthy drinks. And that's all of us in a nutshell.
Thank you, Davina, for presenting your company, and your products look very interesting and very delicious.
Okay. I'm just going to try and stop share screen.
Yeah. I now invite our international suppliers to introduce their companies and products, starting with Nivedita with date chili. Chili date.
Just give me a second to share. Yeah. Share. Yeah, you can see, yeah?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for Organic and Natural Expos for allowing us to present, and hi everyone. So Chili Date is actually a homegrown brand, and we produce about 3-4 categories of products. So it's very organically grown. It started literally from my backyard, and I have a date tree there, and we had lots of dates about 4 years back. So I tried some chutneys, and then this product was born. So whatever the journey of Chili Date has been from its birth till today has been really organic, wherein we went to pop-up markets like Ripe and farmers and so on. And customers would tell us that what they liked and what they felt was short in a certain product, or what they wanted in a product. And that is how we have crafted each and every flavor. So for example, the first one that you see here is our date chutneys. This is how Chili Date literally was born. And this one here, spiced mint, is the mother flavor. So when we would talk to customers, they would say, oh, I want something tangy and, something more spicy. And then we came up with wasabi. Then eventually we came up with sun-dried tomatoes. All of these spreads that we do are they're completely preservative free. They are nuts free. They are vegan, gluten free. So what we try to do is use all fresh ingredients and keep the recipe simple and tasty. So anyone can buy them off the shelf and have it on the go. So if suppose I am a working mom and I am really hungry, I could just pick up a jar and have some of our crackers and, just scoop it off while you are on the go and still be completely nourished and eating the right food. That brings me to the second one, which is a range of seed crackers that we do. Again, all of the USPs are on top. It is all extremely, extremely clean, no sugar added. So for example, our spinach crackers here, or the bitter gourd crackers with pumpkin seeds, they literally have fresh spinach, fresh bitter gourd, fresh dill sourced directly from the farmers. And there are no preservatives added. These are all baked and packed with a lot of hygiene and care, so that the products have lovely shelf life. So because of which we've managed to get to retail shelves, and today we sell our products, the entire spreads range, the seed crackers range, and I will come to our Zero Cafe from over 100 outlets in UAE, including Spinneys, Waitrose, Choitrams, and so on. So like I said, fresh and green is what over here. The crackers you see here are sunflower seeds and dill, and we literally use fresh green vegetables. So the next is Zero Cafe. Zero Cafe, we are the first and the only producers of date seed coffee alternative here in UAE, and it's only made of roasted date seeds. So when we when we make our date spreads, there are lots of seeds that we pick out from each and every fresh date that we use in the chutneys. So those seeds are then collected and roasted, then ground to consistency, which is the same as regular coffee. And this you can use so you brew it the same way as your normal coffee. So it's not Nescafe where you can, just put it in warm water and dissolve it. But this, you can actually have a nice, lovely experience of brewing it like Turkish coffee, or what you can see over here is a French pot or a mocha pot, or an espresso machine as big and professional as Starbucks or Costa can also brew this coffee, which is actually a coffee alternative. So this works really well for pregnant women. I also give it to my 2-year-old. She's 4 now, but she's been trying it since she was 2, because she would like to cheat on, have a sip of my coffee, and then that was not possible. So I would give her this and she would be completely satisfied. So so that's about Zero Cafe. And then coming to our fresh bakes and naughties. So I think what I would say is we always had inquiry of healthy uh, fresh bakes, especially gluten free. Yeah. So during the time of COVID, I really got a chance to do a lot of experimentation. And that is where we decided to launch this entire line of fresh bakes, where we do lovely breads, cookies, muffins, sweet loaves, and we also do lovely sour boulets. And we are getting amazing traction on this. So our ideology really is to bake or to do simple food with clean ingredients. The processes are very simple. And if you see the ingredient list, it's extremely simple. Um, we really focus on flavors because that is what happiness is. When a customer has a morsel of any food, um, I really expect just a with the eyes closed. And if you get that, which means that food is amazing. So that is what we aim for. And by God's grace, we've got that so far. And it's amazing how to share on the topic of today, which is vegan. And as I said, that we have grown organically. I see an amazing change in trend from when I started to what we are today. Um, uh, People are more aware now and are ready now for clean products, which was not happening earlier. I get specific questions from customers and consumers asking, so what is this? And do you add this and that? And a lot of times these consumers and customers become my teachers because they ask me such questions, which is amazing learning curve even for me. So the awareness is really high. And like Monique said, or how the graph has changed. It's so true. And I feel privileged to be serving in this sector of clean food, because I feel food is one sector which is most rewarding, but clean food is even more rewarding because it's literally for anyone and everyone under the sun. So yeah, so basically that's me. And those are our details, and anyone wanting to get in touch can always do. Thank you. So stop sharing.
Nivedita, just looking at your baked goods makes me feel like having them now. Now we're moving on to
We
Daniel.
could have been sitting across each other and more, in a more interactive kind of a way than on screen.
Yes,
Thank you.
for sure. Now we're moving on to Daniel, and I will first share a video of his company.
Yes. Hello. Let
Hi,
me share
Daniel.
the screen with you. Hello.
Okay, sure. You can go on with your presentation.
Yeah. Please confirm if you're seeing it.
Yes.
Okay, and you can hear me well, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you for the opportunity and for this time, and thank you everyone for the speech that I just heard. I hope to keep the level because there were really good things that we heard today. So, well, Future Farm, just one step before, is explaining the business that Future Farm is working on, and it's the plant-based meat that we saw a lot of information today. And the reason that we are having this conversation in the first place is actually due to a meat collapse. So what we are living now is that the population growth crossing with the amount of meat that we eat every day and we love to eat is leading us to an impossible position, to something that we cannot continue to live in this with those numbers. So we are running out of everything, and what all numbers are pointing on, every research from 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now is a collapse, and one of the main responsible for that is the meat consumption. So this is the reason that we are having this conversation in the first place. And then one of the answers, one of the solutions for this collapse is the plant-based meat industry. So it's bringing meat just as the meat lover love to eat and love to have in his daily consumption, but with all those numbers on the screen. So with this less water consumption, with less land needed to do the same amounts of meat. So the point here is to mention that plant-based meat is one solution to avoid this collapse that we will probably live if we keep this lifestyle that the meat lovers, and that's the main population in the world, we are living with. So Future Farm is a company that operates on the plant-based meat business, and we have now almost 2 years, and we sold more than 6 million patties of hamburgers, plant-based burgers, and we are now in 12 countries all over the world. So what we do here in Future Farm, just to go straight to the point, is you have a lot of plant-based business now opening every day. What we wanted to do since the first day in Future Farm is to do in a different way, in a different solution, that it's combining those three things on the screen. So having an excellent taste together with good prices, and also a brand experience, also a brand communication. So what we felt is when we started researching this market in 2016, is that we already had a lot of solutions for the plant-based business, but we could not find a company that could sum these three things together. So what you had is a really good taste of a plant-based burger, but it's too expensive. It's something that people could never change like twice a week, 3 times a week, because it's too expensive. Or you had the other thing, really competitive price, like cheap plant-based products, but the taste was terrible. You can have that burger until the end because it's tasteless. So we could not find globally, back when we started Future Farm, a company that could combine those things, so the cost benefit. And what we did is, Future Farm is a company originally from Brazil, and we saw that Brazil had a lot of power, a lot of assets to export meat. So Brazilian meat is really famous globally. So what we wanted to do is like a new meat coming from Brazil, a new kind of protein. So we are not a brand from a huge meat company. We are an independent startup, vested startup, that we are using Brazilian power of exporting meat, but using it for a different kind of meat. And that's the reason why we grew so fast. We grew so fast in the last, 1 year and a half. So the portfolio that we have now and already available in those 12 countries, and we are in the Middle East already, for example, in Carrefour. So what we have now in the portfolio is the burger, the sausage, meatballs, and mince. Until the end of the year, we're coming with the chicken and the fish. So until the end of the year, Future Farm will be already in these 6 categories, let's say, like this, always with the retail pack, the one you're seeing now, and the food service version. That's another one with even more competitive prices, but with larger boxes to deliver to the food service. This is almost the last one. It's just mentioning that, as I said in the beginning, 3 pillars. So competitive price with good taste, without a trade-off. But finally, the third one is the brand communication. So creating this community, these brand lovers, people that wanted to connect with that brand. So those 3 pillars we wanted since the first day. I just explained the 2 first ones, and this is the third one. So after 1 year of company, we won the Fast Company Award of the ideas that change the world. And this is like our confirmation that we reached the third pillar on our strategy. And this is like the Oscar for the visual communication, for the brand awareness. So once we got this from Fast Company, the US Fast Company Award, we just summed it up and we built this strong case to grow globally. And now we are already in all those countries and trying to expand quite fast in the Middle East. So that was like a short speech, just so everyone will receive materials and have Future Farm social media to connect with me and our partners. But this is what we want to send as last message, is like, enjoy life you have tomorrow, because what we're trying to build with Future Farm is our tomorrow in a more sustainable way. So this is the Future Farm pitch, and back to you, Menaka. Let me stop sharing here. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel, for introducing us to your wonderful products and your wonderful meat-free vegan products. And now we're just running we're just a little short on time. So we'll quickly go through our panel session and our panel discussion. And I'd like to direct the first question to Davina. What is the effect of the current situation on buying behaviors of Middle Eastern consumers, according to you, from a B2C and B2B perspective? And is there any demand for anything specific, like specific products you are seeing post-pandemic? And Davina, you're on mute. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Menka, the beginning part of the question I missed.
What is the effect of the current situation in buying behaviors of Middle Eastern consumers from sort of a distributor and retailer perspective right now?
So I think obviously with when the virus happened, we saw with supplying our customers at the supermarkets and supplying directly some of the customers that we have. Initially, everyone started to panic, and as we all saw, a lot of the supermarkets started to run out of products, and I think a lot of people started to stock hold, but that we saw was mainly sort of essential items. But then a few months into sort of the whole pandemic, what we started to see was consumers started to become a little bit more cautious into what they were purchasing. They started to, be more cautious and more conscious on their health, studying ingredients, and wanted to sort of know where exactly the products are coming from, but then at the same time being quite sensitive about the product's price. We also found that some of the products that consumers wanted, they wanted them to have the immune boosting effect. So for example, we started to get more inquiries from some of our buyers saying, do you have products that fall into the category of, having that immune property, like maybe added turmeric or added vitamins? So that was quite interesting to see. And other than that, we also, as a company, it's a good collective, we had a very basic online shop. But what we started to see was during the pandemic, people actually started to reach us directly to get products and buy products from us through our website and, ordering from us on WhatsApp. So it was a good thing actually for our business because, as I said, we had a very basic shop. Because of this, we've actually enhanced and sort of really focused and built our website a little bit more. I think.
So online has led the way. Would you say online has led the way post-pandemic?
Yeah,
pandemic time?
Definitely. And I think as even, the data that was presented by Monique, I think it almost forced people that were resistant to buying online to actually buy online. So I think a large percentage of people have actually been converted to buying online, and that will stay, post-pandemic as well.
Yeah, that really is what we've been seeing with all of our sectors so far, and all of the conferences that online has really taken over. And Mithun, any specific products people are demanding right now, which Davina did say, which has added turmeric and those sort of ingredients, and anything specific?
I feel one thing is for sure. The virus is going to hit every one of us, if not today, tomorrow. The only way to escape this is to build a strong body, to ensure that your immunity is on point. Okay. Yeah. And that can happen when you heal your body from within with the right kind of foods. And that's what I think people have understood, that there's a lot of education that's happening around in the media, that the people who have comorbidities, like people who have diabetes, people who have cholesterol, heart disease, or any other medical condition which is already present, they are the ones who are actually getting into the hospitals. Otherwise, this is just like any other virus. It might take about 2 weeks, 3 weeks to completely get out of it, but you are able to get out of it. If you see, the mortality rates are pretty low as such. Okay, so the idea is now let's build our body strong. So people are understanding that, and they are asking for foods that can enhance and better your immunity. They're asking for the right kind of supplements. And now that the vegan market is so enhanced, they're asking for vegan omega-3s, they're asking for vegan supplements. Anything that is possible in the vegan range is what they are asking for. And yes, there's a lot of education about the dairy industry. We see so many documents, how animal products and dairy products, what kind of harm it can happen in your body in the long run, what you do on a daily basis, the kind of impact it can have on your overall health. People are getting educated about it. And actually, like I think Nivedita said, today the consumer is very educated. They know what they're looking for. So they're making the right choice. So you have to know that it's no more that uneducated market where you can sell anything at face value. They know that the contents matter. So yes, there's a big switch, big shift that has happened.
For sure. And in the previous session we also discussed how it's not only about the food as such anymore. It's also the organic plus what else, or vegan plus what else. What are you doing for the planet? How are you impacting the planet?
Exactly.
And my next question is, were there any changes in the country you're sourcing from because of the pandemic, and which countries do we import usually from? Monique, would you like to take that?
Okay, so in terms of specific countries, I think that based on the previous sessions and based on the news that I've been gathering, so we are looking at strengthening our, at least for the UAE, we are putting in resources to strengthen local production. We are putting in agri technologies for us to be able to yield the products that can cater to the local market. But at the same time, this year we're expecting a decline in the population with all of the expatriates going back to their home countries. But after that, we are expecting the population to increase again once we have once the economy bounces back, and we are also looking at the Expo 2020, which is already postponed for 2021. So there's still like a positive look out for the economy on a long term, and and our food security minister said before that even though we are increasing the local production, it doesn't mean that we will reduce, or we will not rely on imports anymore. This is still like a very it's a very it's a market that's very strong on imports, and with all of the nationalities that are staying here, it's still important to represent the food that they want, the food that they are used to in their home countries.
Yes, we have more than 100 nationalities after all. So I guess importing is and will play a big role even in the future. And Davina, when you're looking to source products, what exactly do you look for?
Is it in terms of during the COVID times or in general?
Just in general. And
so
now.
For us, I feel, I mean, pre-COVID and in general, when we're sourcing products, and this is sort of feedback based on dealing with our buyers and dealing with consumers, especially, we find that they look for three things. It has to be price competitive, it has to be tasty and palatable, and the product, the origin matters. So for example, if I was to sell a soy milk from China compared to a soy milk from the UK one would sell a lot more easier. So I think the product, I think that sort of people mentally sort of relate that to the quality of the product that they expect. So, we keep these sort of three things in mind. And then obviously, we also look at smaller things that matter when a consumer picks the product off the shelf, like the packaging, the branding. It has to be attractive, and the product has to be on trend. It has to be relatable to the market that we're targeting and the population that we're targeting. These are sort of the things that we look at when we're sourcing. And in terms of health, as sort of everyone has pointed out, when we started the business around 4.5 years ago, organic and free from were the trending words and sort of the trending topics. But now for the past 2 years, we've just seen the vegan wave just explode. So again, we source products based on sort of trends and what the consumers and what the market wants. So a big shift has happened even in terms of our company sourcing, where we're actually sourcing a lot more vegan products based purely on the demand and the requirement from our buyers and our customers.
Sure. And so you would say that one of your primary advice for people who are, actually no, I would just ask you that. What advice do you have? So for example, if I am a soy milk producer from China, how am I supposed to differentiate myself in this market?
I think you have to understand a lot of suppliers, what the conversation that we have with suppliers when we initially start to explore the opportunity of them being in the UAE or in the GCC is they have to understand the market. They have to understand that we actually have a very diverse population. So understand the size of the market. Who exactly are you targeting? And then once you sort of understand that, because the UAE and the Middle East compared to Europe and compared to Asia is a very, very diverse, very, very different market. So I think once you understand who you're targeting and once you understand the size, then you're able to sort of say, right, you know, very quickly, I think you can understand, right, is my product right for the market? Obviously, also then taking into consideration the price that you're going to sell in the market. You know, you can very quickly identify, right, you know, would my product fit in this market or not? But again, I think touching on sort of on the vegan and sort of the free from and sort of the whole natural and health sector, you know, as I said, we started our business 4.5 years ago, and we've just seen year on year so much growth. So as long as your products are innovative, they fit that sort of sector, I think there's so much more growth and so much more opportunity to be explored.
Yes, that really does give a good insight on how to tackle this really multicultural market.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask Daniel, since you're in Brazil, how is the whole situation there when it comes to COVID and health and its relation to free from and vegan? I just wanted to get a global perspective on this as well.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, back in Brazil, the situation is probably one of the worst places to be now during talking about COVID. So this actually just pushed us. We are the leading company in Brazil and in all South America, but for this market. But what happened is that it pushed us outside Brazil to just boost our international projects. So right now I'm talking to you from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, where we built the office over here, and we are building the team because we are probably getting the leading company in Europe in probably 6 months to 1 year. So that's our plan. And that's how fast we're growing here. So back in Brazil, what's actually happening that it's positive for the plant-based business is that the Brazilian, well, actually globally, what people are starting to think about meat is a little bit scary. So people are trying to reduce, and we heard this today, I think probably in Monica's speech, that eating meat is something that people are starting to connect with big diseases, not specifically COVID, but big diseases. So when you talk about Brazilian exporting that big amount of meat, and people globally starting to reduce meat consumption, actually opens door for us. So we have more opportunities to export plant-based meat, that it's an answer for this scare, for this I don't know, this awareness of the meat relation to the big diseases. So actually what I think is happening in Brazil, well, it's really sad talking about the situation, but when you talk about the meat market, I think it's a good thing to turn the key and to put plant-based meat in an even faster position of growing. So I think that's the general impact of COVID over there.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound a bit promising, at least for the future of vegan and vegan meat specifically.
Yes.
And now I just want to wrap up. So I'll ask each of you, starting with Nivedita, just a small and quick summary of what you think the future for this segment is.
See, I really feel that veganism is here to stay. A, B, it's purely because it's the healthiest way of being. Anything when we have meat or whatever that we're talking about, there's also a lot of energy work always happening around us, and anything that is dead does not bring the right kind of energy and keep a right kind of energy around you. So from the point of health, it's uh, I mean, we are just, small beings on in a we are so tiny in the scale of things, and which are really large beyond our imagination. Keeping that in mind, having a simple diet is the least that we can do. And I would, with that, I would also like to highlight again on Mithun's point, which was, it's not a hard and fast cult, because we all are brought up in a certain way, so we have certain eating habits, but a caution, eating with a lot of awareness as to what you're consuming, and feeding yourself, your soul, is very important. So just keeping that in mind as a simple simple ethic of life, uh, we should embrace this new trend and try and make it as a habit, for only the good of us, in whichever way we can, with all consciousness, is what I would like to say.
Yeah, it should become the norm. It shouldn't be something unique or special.
Yes.
Now moving on to Monique. For any quick 2 lines for the future?
Yeah, so as we've talked about, and as I've discussed in the first presentation, so it's the plant-based food here in the region. It's still very niche. It's still relatively small, and so there's a very huge potential. And um, and people are now more open to this. Like previously, as also mentioned earlier, they, like, people don't care really what they put into their bodies. So yeah, so it's looking bright. It's looking good for the future.
Yeah, on that note, I also want to say some people have inquired about Daniel's products as well. So I
Yeah.
can see that we can really see the interest even amongst our audience. So yeah. And
Perfect.
Mithun, how about you? A quick 2-liner on the future.
Oh, the future is bright, but sometimes I do feel that people misunderstand veganism. Okay, now you cannot be a dirty vegan. Okay, what I
Yeah.
mean by that is, you can't load up on processed food and say that just because it's vegan it is healthy. It is not true. You have to pick up the right kind of, especially natural, real plant based. That's why I continuously emphasize on being plant based, and what you do every day is going to impact your health. And this is not, again, because it's trending. There are lots of researchers, lots of clinical evidences, lots of research papers. It's all there in the journals. It's for you to read, and it is all there, the impact it can have on your health, how it can reverse diseases. I have had cases where hormonal problems have been reversed. I've had cases where diabetes has been reversed. It has not happened in the past. There's a lot of talk about doing, every year you come across some new diets, okay? But the plant-based diet is here to stay. So let's accept that. But people have to have that awareness that every vegan food is not, I mean, and a sugar laden cookie is also vegan, but that doesn't mean that is healthy. You have to make your choices. You have to pick the right foods. You have to be aware of what's right, what you're feeding your body. So that is important.
Perfectly put. And Davina?
I feel like, over here in the UAE, in the region, we're still 2 to 3 years behind the Western Hemisphere. So just as we've seen now in supermarkets and, online and in restaurants, we've started to see organic options available, vegan and gluten-free options. I feel the future in terms of this region, it's going to become the norm. We expect it to become the norm, where it's not going to be, you don't have to go and look for it in certain shops or in certain online stores. It's going to be something where you're going to find, even if you're driving from Dubai to Abu Dhabi instead of the petrol station, you should be able to find a healthy option. So I feel it's something where you're going to see it's growing, the sector is growing, and you're going to be able to see products more everywhere. It's going to be much more accessible and also a lot more price competitive to normal non-healthy products, you can say. And I feel overall, all of this is going to be really supported and pushed, especially with the government's initiatives that are already in place with regards to healthy eating.
Sure, going towards a new normal, basically.
Yeah.
And Daniel, your parting comments?
Yes. Sorry. What is the question? Right?
Just a two-line, just a quick summary of what you feel 2021 onwards is going to look like for this segment.
Yeah, I think this is I think the food of the future is something that we are still defining. It's you see the lab meats, you see plant-based, you see just regular the vegetarian, vegan food. But I think what we defining here together, when we all agree, is that the food of the future, it doesn't matter what it is specifically, but it's not what we are eating now. It's not that we've been eating so far. Like just this and sit and watch what the regular meat chain is causing to the world. So this is something that we need to change now, and our daughters and sons and granddaughters, they will feel this naturally since they are born. So I think it's time for accepting that the food of the future is different from what we have now. We just need to make it more accessible to more people globally. So that's what we are working for, all of us here talking. So I think it's time to actually change the food of the future to the food of our present. So it's time for that.
Sure. So I have a couple, we're actually very short of time. So I'll have to take a couple of technical questions for me. So the first one is, how do I contact you? It's just simple. Drop an email at info@organicandnatural.com and we will be right with you. How can I exhibit at the Expo? To participate in the Organic and Natural Products Expo, you can either log into our website, organicandnatural.com, or click the Get Involved button below the chat box. How can I be a part of Digital Trade Week? This is a part of our free value-added service to exhibitors. So all you need to do is sign up for the organic show in Dubai, and which is 4 months from now in December. And our sales team will be happy to help. Where can I get the schedule? We have 2 more live webinar sessions until September. You can get it on organicandnatural.com/digital. Can you explain what Arabian Organics is? It's the first e-commerce portal with complete fulfillment services, offering hassle-free market access for international suppliers. If you're a buyer, you can source high-quality global products at wholesale prices with quick delivery. And we also offer various wrap packages from product registration to clearing, customs, and warehousing delivery. So yeah, we do have more questions, but we're out of time. So just want to say that we had over 3,400 attendees for this specific session. And they are live with us now. And we just want to give everyone a big thank you, and to all of our panelists as well, for making the session very interactive, engaging, and educational. So big thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
And this only shows the interest and demand for organic and natural products and will further strengthen the online trade community. Stay tuned for our next Digital Trade Week segment in September, and see you at the Organic Expo this December in Dubai. Thank you very much, and bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.